In my opening remarks, I urged today's graduates to take up the cause of the citizen engineer. Our commencement speaker, Roger Strauch, is an outstanding example of what I mean. He combines a deep understanding of technology with a broad appreciation for human values and social responsibility. Roger Strauch is chairman of the Roda Group, a seed-stage venture capital group in Berkeley. He co-founded the firm in 1997 with Dan Miller to provide entrepreneurs with resources and guidance to launch high-technology businesses, especially those coming from Berkeley. Roger was the first CEO and one-time chairman of Ask Jeeves, now Ask.com. Today, his company is the main investor in Solazyme, which is leading the development of renewable biofuels here in the Bay Area. We consider Roger a true builder of the Berkeley campus and the Bay Area community. He serves on the college's own advisory board, as well as the boards for the Mathematical Sciences Research Institute and the Berkeley Repertory Theater. He co-founded the William Saroyan Endowment for Armenian Studies at Berkeley, and here in the college has endowed a faculty chair in electrical engineering and computer sciences. With Dan Miller, he helped establish the Ask Jeeves Planetarium at the Chabot Space and Science Center and the Roda Theater at the Berkeley Rep. In the midst of his many cultural and civic commitments, Roger still wears the colors of a true engineer. He has been a licensed amateur radio operator for more than 40 years, call sign KD6UO. For those of you, that used to be before www addresses. He earned his bachelor's from Cornell and his master's from Stanford. And he holds 2 patents in the area of wireless communications. Let me now invite Roger to deliver today's keynote address for the 142nd College of Engineering commencement. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Roger Strauch.
Hi. Dean Sastry, distinguished faculty, graduates, family, and friends, let me add to the great congratulations that you all deserve today. Congratulations. The last time a member of my family was in this theater was about 60 years ago. My father had just earned his PhD at Cal. And he took out his best friend for a drink to celebrate. He got tipsy, plastered, and wound up here where I am standing in the middle of the night singing to a theater of empty seats. Well, Dad, in spite of this indiscretion, became a happy college professor and his lifelong buddy, a successful newspaper owner. I'm going to continue to share some personal thoughts with you, a little awkward with thousands of people, but let's give it a whirl. I will tell you a little bit about my life as an engineering grad, full of passion, opportunity, risk, adventure, enriching relationships, and a sense of social responsibility. And I'm going to explain why there may never be a more urgent need for our engineering skills to make the world a better and safer place. Like many of you, I had an early fascination with technology. The notion that one could use science, math, logic, and creativity to design and build things that people use and pay for seems so cool. I liked rockets, shortwave ham radios, and making robots. I was lucky. I basically knew what I wanted to do with my life when I was a teenager. It became apparent that some of my friends were more talented at math and science. It was not easy to accept that I may not be the very, very best at what I love to do. But I observed that engineering was not simply about tough problems and elegant solutions. It is also about the people who take on these challenges. And it is about the needs and desires of customers. I saw a place for myself. I decided I would try to lead talent to meet market and societal needs. I wanted to work with people that are smarter than I am. I wanted to build things people would pay for. I wanted to make a difference in the world. I wanted to travel a lot. So I went on to become an electrical engineering student. In my sophomore probability class, I argued unsuccessfully with a fellow student on a class question. That guy became a close friend. He was indeed a naturally talented student, but not somebody who aspired to be an entrepreneur. I believed that I needed a partner in my dream to start and lead technology companies. So I encouraged Dan to join me on a career path that has become a 35-year adventure together. I enjoy his company, admire his intellect, and I trust in his character. We help each other recover from failures, and we can enjoy and appreciate the occasional triumphs. It was the single best bet of my professional career. Upon our graduation, Dan and I ventured to Los Angeles to work for an aerospace company that builds communication satellites. We had incredible bosses who were generous with their mentorship and an employer founded by the quintessential entrepreneur of his time, Howard Hughes. Hughes Aircraft offered amazing professional opportunities to relatively young and inexperienced engineers. We still count our blessings that we started our careers at a large, top-notch technology company. After several years designing communication systems for commercial and military applications and learning the importance of great teamwork, we were recruited to a startup opportunity here in Berkeley. But a seminal moment in our partnership came on the day before Dan and I were to leave LA. To entice him to stay at his job, Dan was offered a mission specialist position on the space shuttle. In an almost all-night conversation, I begged and pleaded Danny to stay the startup course with me and give up what he called the ride of a lifetime. Fortunately, Dan chose to come to Berkeley, and we started a telecommunication software and services company in partnership with Berkeley professor Dr. Dave Messerschmidt. This was only a few months ahead of the breakup and deregulation of the telecom industry. We had the guidance and support of a great Berkeley business incubator and investor. We realized quickly the importance of sales and marketing in a technology company. Dan and I learned how critical it is to listen rather than talk, and to be flexible in the construction of business relationships. We served a global clientele of telecom companies, building first-generation digital signal processing and network management technologies for our customers to incorporate in their products and services. We took our company public 8 years after its inception. The investors made well over $100 million on a several $100,000 investment. And we enjoyed the ultimate satisfaction as engineers. Our technology was used directly and indirectly by millions of people throughout the world. After this 14-year adventure, we knew how much work was involved in starting and growing a technology company. So instead of starting another one, we decided to help others get theirs going. And the Roda Group, the Roger Dan Group, was born, a seed-stage venture capital business with the financial, human, and infrastructure support to significantly help startups. More than a third, but less than half, of our projects have succeeded. And even though that is a very respectable track record for venture capitalists, we hate the bus and are more relieved with the victories than ecstatic. It does remind me to tell you that our story is indeed characterized by more failure than success. It isn't always apparent because a few significant accomplishments have masked many disappointments. We have taken new enterprises public. We have sold companies to some prestigious corporations. Between the two of us, we have earned millions of frequent traveler miles, personally conducted business in over a dozen countries, and have met and worked with remarkable people, including some who are quite famous. Our partnership has led to the creation of companies worth an aggregate billions of dollars, employing hundreds of engineers and scientists. We have earned sufficient personal wealth to help build a new theater, museum, and school. We support brilliant professors and their research. We help economically disadvantaged students pursue their education and dreams. And in a series of programs in a small and remarkable developing nation halfway across the world, Armenia, we help disabled people become mainstream contributors to their community. Street kids find a safe haven for homework help, and we underwrite young people who create film documentaries about how the global issues affect everyday Armenia. Work that has earned international acclaim. It still amazes and delights me how one can use the fruits of one's labors to make a meaningful, positive difference in other people's lives. What a privilege it is to do so. Frankly, one of the reasons I'm so highly motivated to create more wealth is so that I can expand these philanthropic efforts. As engineers, entrepreneurs, and investors, we are always looking for the next big thing. We were at the beginning of digital telecom, the internet, personal video communications, and we want more such adventures. And we think we have found the next big thing. But before I get to that, I would like to return to the space shuttle story. Now, I have to tell you that the Hughes aircraft systems engineer who flew on the shuttle instead of Dan died on the Challenger, along with 6 other talented and brave souls, when it blew up 73 seconds after launch. So naturally, we wanted to understand the causes of that tragedy. The night before the launch, the responsible engineers had advised the top brass to not launch due to the risks of cold weather. And even upon significant pressure from these big shots, the engineers still did not back off their well-founded concerns. Because the engineers could not prove that a disaster would happen, the powers that be decided to overrule their recommendations. The bosses signed off on a go for launch. The Challenger blew up the next morning. We seem to be facing that same type of thinking today. But this time, the stakes are much higher. Climate scientists are telling us that we are altering the atmosphere at an alarming rate. These capable, qualified, peer-reviewed climate scientists say that on our current path, sea levels could rise 6 feet, and the global average temperature could increase 7 degrees Fahrenheit in this century. They predict that starting now, there will be massive floods, droughts, famines, extinctions, and other impacts for which we are not prepared. The recent earthquake and tsunami in Japan, or tornadoes in Alabama, or floods along the Mississippi reminds us that nature operates at a scale awesomely larger than mankind. But while these scientists are highly confident in their predictions, they cannot prove that any particular event will occur. The leaders of our global society are acting like the big brass of that cold, tragic day when the shuttle exploded. Unless it is a clear certainty, they and we do not make the hard decisions to mitigate or avoid a terrible threat and its unbearable consequences. They have decided to launch instead of heeding the advice of those that know what they're talking about. And on board this time, it is our children, our grandchildren, and us. Winston Churchill, in November of 1936, speaking of a previous gathering storm, said, "Owing to past neglect, in the face of the plainest warnings, we have entered upon a period of danger. The era of procrastination, of half measures, of soothing and baffling expedients, of delays, is coming to its close. In its place, we are entering a period of consequences. We cannot avoid this period. We are in it now." Of course, with such enormous threats, there are also great opportunities. Therein lies the next big thing. In the Roda Group's pursuit of technologies that could facilitate the development of sustainable fuels and food, Dan and I were introduced to a small company called Solazyme. Fresh out of a garage, they wanted to use algae, the smallest and most abundant plant on Earth, to produce oil. The work of a visionary biology professor here at Cal, Dr. Tassios Melas, inspired another two close friends, including a biogeneticist from Utah, to look into algae as a source of renewable energy. After a lot of trial and error, Solazyme was able to identify and genetically modify strains of algae that could produce oil efficiently and rapidly for transportation fuel. In addition, they developed processes to manufacture oil for food, soap, lubricants, and even cosmetics. They can design oil to a specification, and they can produce it at scale today. This process requires sugar because it is heterotrophic. In other words, they grow the algae in the dark, in large steel tanks. The sugar can come from non-food sources like wood chips and corn husks. And because the company started 8 years ago, they had plenty of time to make lots of mistakes before the present crowd entered the race. And because Dan and I were operating as much from the fear of the effects of climate change as well as a comfort with high-risk deals, we were able to provide much-needed support to this company when almost no one else would. As much as I would like to harness all of the talent in this stadium to build and sell the low-carbon energy and other sustainable solutions of tomorrow, I know it is not realistic. But I am calling on all of you to learn as much as you can about the climate problem. It is a major psychological and political challenge. We are not responding appropriately to the fact that every major scientific body in the world accepts human-caused climate change as a fact. You and all of us must also get others to understand and do something about the slow-moving, planet-wide climate tsunami that is headed our way. In the last few minutes, I've told you a little of my story and about my sense of our opportunities and our responsibilities. By pursuing engineering, you have made an excellent and exciting investment in yourselves. Your friends and family have also invested in you with their love and resources. The college you are graduating from required over 100 years of investment and commitment to excellence in order to provide you with a world-leading education. And you are well prepared to yield an impressive return on this investment by tackling the tough challenges and solving worthwhile problems. I know you have lofty dreams for your future. I wish you great success and fun in your careers. Every day I pinch myself that I get to do what I do and work with whom I work. I hope you will share with me this passion for work and a sense of duty to act boldly to make a positive difference in this world. It turns out that Dan and I are indeed on the ride of a lifetime. Please join us. Thanks to my family for your love and support, and thank you all for your attention on this glorious, glorious day. Bravo to your families, and go Cal!